Okay, looks like we're live. I'm here with Jennifer Evans-Simmons. She actually has a kind of new last name lately.
Yeah.
I remember the first time, I think you signed up for a headshot or something. I was like, who's Jennifer Simmons? And I was like, oh, yeah.
I don't recognize it either.
So anyway, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do? Yeah.
Sure. I'm Jennifer Evans, and now Events by Jennifer Evans. And I plan corporate events. So everything from conferences and trade shows to citywide ticketed events like Decadent Spokane Chocolate Festival. But also, and what's keeping everything afloat right now, are nonprofit fundraisers, because these nonprofit organizations have no ability to not do their events right now. So we have switched into the virtual world and are doing massive amounts of virtual fundraising.
Cool. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
First, I want to see if anyone's watching. So if you guys are watching, leave a comment, tell us you're here so we don't feel like we're talking to ourselves.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, so I mean, obviously 2020 was super weird and you kind of had to pivot. But before that, had you already decided to go to the personal brand, or was that kind of motivated by all of the changes?
Oh, if you want to know the real truth?
Sure.
I was planning my exit from events.
Oh, really?
I was ready to say, I'm more Hara.
Oh, hey.
So Hara knows the behind the scenes from the days we shared our office together, but events were wearing me out. I felt like I was getting run down by clients, events, committees. Everything else was kind of running my life for me.
Mhm.
And so I was looking into a complete shift. Well, the shift happened, but now you'll never get me out of events. So for me, it's been a really good time to reevaluate who I am, what I have to offer, and really look more at what an ideal client looks like. And take better care of myself in the process, as well as them, because I'm a different person now.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Cool. So what did that look like transitioning into, because you were Encore Events and now you're Events by Jennifer Evans. So
Yeah.
what was that process of transitioning? How has that been for you?
Yeah, I've been working with a mentor. Her name is Sasha Souza. She's an incredible international event planner. Does events for Oprah, and she's outstanding. And she started this group called the Creative Collective. And there's 100 of us at any given time, and then we can schedule one-on-one time with her. And when I first got into events, the advice given to me was, well, not just events, but my own company.
Mhm.
Look bigger than you are. Use we, use us,
Right.
use big things to make you look bigger. And through Sasha, and actually, let me back up just a little bit. So I went to an event on top of local advisors saying, look bigger than you are. I went to an event and they said, don't ever put your name on your event brand, because what happens when you get to the point where somebody else on your team is managing the event?
Right.
And they said, don't do it. And that stuck in my head. So here I am 7 years down the road as Encore Events. And when I say we, people go, what do you mean we? You do everything. So I was talking with Sasha, whose name is on her international event brand, and she's Sasha Souza Events, and she and another consultant were doing a training. And I finally got brave enough and asked, why do you put your name on the brand? What happens when you grow big? And I said, I was given this advice at my very first conference, and I'll never forget Sasha's response. She said, I know exactly who told you that. And I know that they're wrong. And here's why. And she said, you are your brand. No matter how big you get, if your seal of approval is on everything, it's okay to say Jennifer Evans Events.
Mhm.
And so all of that happened. I decided to go for it. And then the response was everything to me, because everybody went, geez, why didn't you do this sooner? It's
Right.
always been you. And so it was kind of funny that people were always saying, somebody said to me, I always just say, call Jennifer Evans. She does
Right.
events. I don't know your company name.
Yeah. Right.
So it turned out that it was kind of what everybody was expecting anyway.
Great. Yeah, I see that a lot on social media. Even with me, people will tag me instead of WorkStory. Although I get a lot of tags, of my company name too, but my name is kind of hard to pronounce. If you Google Tanya Smith, there's a bunch of them. like that have companies. So for me, it made
Yeah.
sense. But I tell people all the time, like, why not just use your name? If you think about some of the biggest brands in the world, they're a name of a person. I mean,
Yeah.
like McDonald's, Nordstrom, Mercedes, Louis Vuitton, like,
Yeah.
it's all a
Yeah.
name of a person that started that company. So
Yeah.
it's okay to do that. So
Totally.
yeah. So tell me what an event is looking like these days and what you guys have created kind of for the world. I feel like you kind of did some innovating in
It's been
2020 for events.
so fun. I know in times like this, and it's weird because I'm sure you're feeling it too. We're at that 1 year mark now, and things are coming up in memories, and not just on social media, but in my mind going, whoa, that was
Yeah.
crazy. But I knew early on that through this, some people would rise to the top as innovators and come out of this better than they were before. And I just crossed the fingers, said my prayers, please let me be on the side of innovation. And it happened pretty quickly and kind of in an unexpected way. So I spent a lot of time trying to get creative with what an online event could look like, content, and
Mhm.
using things like, the Cameo app to bring in celebrities. And there
Mhm.
were a lot of fun opportunities that you couldn't do before. But then what really changed things in the nonprofit sector was we were working on an event Beyond Pink specifically. And a company called ILF Media has always done their preview video and interviews with the designers who contribute to
Mhm.
the fashion show. And I was telling them, they were asking what we were going to do for the event. And I said, here's what's available. Here's how I'm going to have to make it work. But these are all the things I'm lacking. And they started asking questions. And I went, oh, where is this going? Well, what if you could do this? And what if you could do that? And what if? And they called me after the call with the client and said, if we could build a platform that does all these things you're looking for, would you use it for this event and maybe others? And I said, I would sing about you from the rooftops. And they did it. So by August, they had it in good enough mode that we were testing it. By October 10th last year, we used it for our first fundraiser, and I had one right behind it, and it hasn't slowed down since. So there are lots of platforms you can use and be successful, but this one for fundraisers, they have my heart, my whole heart. And it's been fun because they really, a lot of nonprofit auction software was designed to do very specific things. And before COVID, if you could do mobile bidding, that was cool. That was,
Right.
cutting edge. Well, we need more. And what I love is for those companies that were established, it's tough to turn that big ship around. For
Mhm.
somebody starting from the ground up, they got to create it how we wanted it instead of having to fix it. And so they're the only ones doing it. And because they're a production company, they came at it from a production mindset,
Mhm.
not an auction software mindset.
Right.
And so they have abilities to, put these high res videos, zero latency, and then, go full screen when it comes time for that really important photo or video that nobody else can do. They have innovated by adding a box to their screen where you bid.
Mhm.
It's just a whole different thing. So that has changed my world. I
Cool.
hope that makes sense. It's been
Yeah, no, it
amazing.
totally does. And has the response been good? Like, are you filling the events and raising enough money? Like, I mean, I imagine this, even if we go back or when we go back to totally in-person events, this expands what you can do with your fundraiser to everyone who can't attend in person,
Yes,
right?
exactly. I got on a call the other day with these guys. It's called Reinventing Live, the always on future of events. I got so much good content from these authors, and now I have to read the book. But yeah, it was kind of funny. The word hybrid is new to a lot of people right now. I
Right.
had to laugh literally out loud when these guys were saying the word hybrid is out. I'm like, hold on. The rest of the world hasn't even caught up to you yet.
Right.
But what they're saying is for every live event you do, especially in the nonprofit fundraising world and big conferences, have a digital extension.
Mhm.
And I am telling everybody, until you can prove to me that a digital extension of your live event hasn't been successful, do it. You can't afford not to. And Beyond Pink, that first fundraiser we did, was the prime example. Their number one giver that night was somebody who never would have come to the live event and probably never will.
Yeah. That's so cool.
So
Well, for
yeah,
me personally, just, I mean, as a mom with young kids, I feel like the last like 12 years of my life, I have not been able to go to events. Or if I go, it's like this huge thing. I have to get a babysitter. And if the babysitter doesn't show up, I'm screwed. And like, all this stuff.
yeah,
So being able to participate in those kinds of things virtually is
yeah.
so cool and just opens it up to so many more people to attend. So I think that's so cool.
It's true. And what I'm hearing from people is, there's Zoom fatigue. We're tired. We don't want to. Well, I get it. So that's why we do hybrid. I don't want to
Yeah.
go to every event that I used to. My life was run over by my event schedule. Now I can sit in my bathrobe and watch a fundraiser or a conference. I'm not passing those up. So
Right.
you're not going to get 100% of people who want to go back to normal. So
Right.
let's accommodate both.
Yeah, I love it. So we got some questions coming in. I think we'll do those at the end. So I want to go back to your personal brand a little bit.
Yeah.
So you decided to go with Jennifer Evans. So what were the steps for making like the visuals of that happen? Did you start with like a logo, or tell me how it went?
I did. And I did just a temp one at first to get me by, because I had a designer out of Scotland who I've been working with on a lot of nonprofit events for the last year, who was willing to help me, but I had to wait. So did a quick temp one. And then he's now helping me with kind of the rest of it. So while I was waiting for him, it was, let's just get the word out that I'm doing it, change my email. Although I did things a little backwards and I'm learning better. I should have gone to you first. At least I knew I needed photos of
Right.
myself and my brand. I got that part right.
Yeah. Well, I guess
So,
it just depends. I've had people come to me like toward, like the website's already done and they're like, now we need good photos. I've had others like do the photos first and then, I mean, I guess it just depends where you're at, but yeah.
the website's waiting, but yeah, it was getting the logo, making the announcement that I was doing it. And for me, I didn't realize I needed it, but I did need the validation that it was the right thing.
Mhm.
And then now pulling together all the assets.
Right. Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen with people just to show your photos, because that's the part I got to play in all of this. And we did something a little unique for you where it was like kind of a quick shoot. I guess it kind of fits in with what you did. You're like, I'm doing this really quick. Like I need some fast, So we did like an hour shoot. I would have liked more time with you, but
yes, ditto.
Let's see here. And then, but we had a lot of fun. We met downtown at the Davenport, and they made us wear masks inside. So we did most everything outside. And you went to Victoria for clothes. I'm actually interviewing her next week, I think. We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Awesome.
And then got your hair and makeup done. And then, we just wanted to show that you're friendly and approachable, fun. I think we really kind of captured that.
I loved seeing your eye at work through all of that. When, I had a vision, of course, I wanted to be on that rooftop of the Davenport, and just hearing you going, wait, there's too much, noise in the background. There's a stoplight, there's a this, and watching you work around that was interesting. I think my favorite though was when you walked down the stairs just to preview, could we get out? And you're like, these stairs are perfect.
Right. Yeah, I
and
really loved those ones.
Yeah, and you're right. Like I look at that. Well, there's one where it kind of shows some of the busyness, but otherwise you took out so much noise.
Yeah, I guess, in the retouched ones, I took out like this stuff and, any signs or anything that was distracting. These are the ones we didn't retouch, but kind of just to see kind of the variety that we were able to get in an hour.
God, it was fast.
Yeah, it was fast. So anyway, that's just for everyone to see. So I am always curious to hear from people. What made you decide to choose me as your photographer? Because there's tons of photographers out there.
Yeah, you have established yourself over and over in my mind as the pro, the expert, and you're walking the talk. You're teaching others how to do it. And I saw it in Nabo, and in fact, even before Nabo, you were doing some work and talking about how to do your pricing. And I thought, well, it's more than everybody. And for me, that's not a deterrent. That's well, if she's more than others, she must be giving more than others. So I started listening. And then through NABO, so I went, oh, she really does offer something that nobody else is offering. And, even when we booked that session, there's, a little bit of pre-session coaching, and you gave advice that nobody had ever given to me before any kind of shoot, whether it be a headshot or whatever. And so, when I picked out my clothing, I went to Victoria and said, I need to keep these things in mind. Okay. And so you set me up for success. I didn't schedule enough time. That's on me. But it's been incredible. And the product of your work is outstanding. And I look at, it's even the bigger picture. Before everybody jumped on, I was showing her, this sits on my desktop. Your branding advice is so on point. And I hope you know that we're listening and it's making a difference. And I just keep watching and picking up little things here and there. And it's all working in my favor. So thank you.
Good. Awesome. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun teaching people. I'd like to do more of that. Just kind of passing on my 20 years of knowledge. It's just kind of sitting in my head. Let's see. Have you what frustrations or hesitations have you had in the past with finding a photographer, either for yourself or for your events? You probably have had lots of experience with with that.
Yeah, we've and for the most part, I feel like I've been really lucky. Before I got to know you, and I had somebody who was my family photographer and everything else until she moved. And so I feel like I got pretty lucky with that. In events, especially when nonprofits are your clients, everybody's wanting to cut corners and use the cheapest or the person who would volunteer. And, you get what you pay for or don't pay for sometimes. And so having somebody who also understands their limitations, going back to something like a Beyond Pink event, that's a fashion show, there are people who have volunteered their time. They have no idea how to shoot a runway show. It's different than stills. So it's really finding the right people. And I've gotten to a point where I just tell my clients, please budget for good photography. Yes, your mother's cousin could do it, but you're going to get nothing that you can use later in your collateral. So I think for me, again, it's really learning what is within somebody's wheelhouse, and then choosing the right person based on your needs.
Thank you for giving them that advice.
Yeah.
I've had people, I don't really do a lot of events just because most people don't budget enough for it. I'll give them my price and they're like, well, we're going to go with someone else. But then I'll hear back from them, well, we couldn't use any of these in our marketing. And I'm like, it could be a huge valuable asset for you to have photos from your last event to use in your next event, to show people the value of coming to the event. So that's super important.
I was on a call, again, going back to the creative collective, which isn't just for event planners, any creatives. There's DJs and photographers and videographers in this group. But she did do an industry interview with her photographer that she brings in for her own events. And so even when she does a wedding and there's a wedding photographer, his whole thing is stay out of the way, but he's there to get event only photos for her portfolio, for her, books that she does and things like that. And it's a whole different eye on things. So I now know I have to start budgeting for that for my own marketing in the future.
Right. Yeah. It would be really cool to show the behind the scenes of what goes into an event, and how much work it is and how much fun it could be too. You could show that. And the planning. I just did a shoot for Rose Backs, showing her behind the scenes meeting with her clients.
Awesome.
Before the event, like all she does. And same with you. You don't just show up at the event. Most of the work happens before the event, So it's cool to show that in your marketing for sure.
I was listening to a chef for a video for an event we're doing soon. And the chef said, what we do is about 10% creativity and 90% hard work. And I went, that's it. People think event planning is all Pinterest and centerpieces and fun things. I'm like, no, it's sitting right here at the desk.
Exactly. Same thing. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, so are you just editing all day? And I'm like, not really. Like 10% of what I do is the photos. The rest is this stuff, marketing, taxes, all the business stuff
Boo.
like that. Yeah. Okay. So I guess what would you say to someone who's on the fence about making the investment in a photographer that is a little more expensive than what they thought, or specifically hiring me, I guess I should say.
Yeah, interview and find out what you're getting, because the reality is you can do it cheaper, but you're
Right.
not going to get the same quality, the same guidance, the same coaching, and the finished product that you need. I mean, yeah, I've seen all the things, and it's just different when you have somebody whose eye is trained in this. They
Mhm.
know what to do, and they know how to help you get the outcome that you're looking for. It's been amazing. And I've loved watching your shoots. You know, Stella always comes to mind.
I know.
Oh, Stella's pictures every time. I'm like, how do I look like that in a photo? But you bring out this such a, well, she's always fun, but such a fun and light side. And then what I also learned, leaving room on the side, I'm like, let me move to one side, room on the side for
Right.
social media. And nobody has ever advised on that before.
Yeah.
They're so busy on getting, the good face and lighting that you're down the road going, what are you going to use it for? And you build that into the shoot. And I just love that.
Well, that's because
So
I was a designer first before I was a
yes.
photographer. Like, the reason I became a photographer for businesses is because as a graphic designer, I didn't have that. I'm like, we need room on the side for text. And then I'm having to, like, in Photoshop, like, manufacture a background or cut them out, or, so, or just, blurry photos or bad lighting or terrible facial expressions or body language that communicates something undesirable, so that's totally why I started this business. And I think that, I definitely know that gives me, or it gives my clients that edge where I have that mind, in the planning. I'm like, how are you going to use these? We got to create something that you can actually use in your marketing. So,
Yeah.
so thank you for that. Okay.
Yes.
So let's go to this question now.
And Tessa's backing you up. Of course,
Yeah,
she knows that.
she's my sister too, so she
doesn't take away from the validity of what she's saying.
Okay, so Tessa says, I would love to do a fundraiser in the future for raising money for some medical nonprofits, but I have never done that before. What is the first step in getting into the fundraising scene? That's a really big question.
Yeah. Well, I think you'd probably same thing, is establishing your brand. Like, where are you going to send them to? What is it that you're branding and raising money for? So establishing who you are, and just read her other comment. Yeah. Figuring out who you are and what you're raising the funds for, and defining that first, because then you can go out and start talking about the marketing. In fact, I'm scrambling looking at notes from like my earlier meeting. In the fundraisers that I'm getting ready for, the majority of what we talk about is the marketing and how to market your event and get the word out and get people there and get eyes on it. Once you have eyes on it, then I don't want to say it's easy. Then you just put in good fundraising practices with, auctioneers or whatever your method is for raising those funds. But you've got to get together your brand and communicate what you do, who you are, what you do well enough that people want to get behind that mission.
Right. I imagine probably getting like sponsored. Well, just from my experience of planning the NABO, the NABO event that we had here, I've kind of like, I was like crash course of like, nonprofit event happening. And that wasn't even for fundraising. It was just getting people to come to this event. But yeah, sponsorship was a big part of it. So getting someone to help you fund the event initially so that you can have the event, right? That's probably important.
Yeah, having underwriters is huge, because you can do it the easy way or you could do it the hard way. And it's funny, before you and I were ever NABO members, I helped NABO because they did an event in the building where I was, and then they hired me as a consultant, and they wanted me to help with sponsorships. And I don't like raising money for sponsorships. I like planning events. I'm not a development director. And we talked it through, and I said, yes, I can help if you want, but my preference is I want to just build it all into the ticket price and get people there. But that's the hard way. Get the underwriters and get somebody who's really good at asking for the money, and go to your partners and the people who have been supporting your group. So yeah, getting the sponsorship behind it is really important, and it adds validity. When you see who's backing an event,
Sure.
it adds that legitimacy.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a really great tip. Okay, let's see. So Tessa says, yes, Tanya's design experiences made her. So, okay, cool. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, even just like Pampered Chef or the other.
I don't know. Cooking later. I'm so just engulfed in events right now. But no, I have a question. So next steps for me. In fact, I attended a NABO meeting a few weeks ago. Somebody saw me online and said, "Hey, jump in." Must have been Daria. And I did, and there was an incredible speaker, and I think only 4 of us were on there.
Oh no.
And she was talking about how to scale what you're doing. Well, I don't know if you were on there, but how to scale what you were doing. And she talked about having an entry-level package where really you don't ever touch that communication. It's the video, it's the automated stuff, and then working your way up where your premium package is, of course, you and your valuable and precious time. So after that call, I went, oh, I need to do this differently. And I'm kind of to a place, I almost don't even want to say it. I get so worried I'm going to jinx it. I am this close to being at capacity for the year already, which never have I been able to say that, especially not at the tail end of a pandemic with no live events.
Right.
So that's good, but there's so many people who need the help. I can only do so much. So I've seen you talking about these packages where you can start automating your content. Help. Where does somebody start?
Yeah. So, well, I've been using Kajabi because in last year, my kind of little pivot was doing more education. So Kajabi is a educational platform so you can have your website there, you can have your courses there, or your, video, whatever you want to create, digital product. And then also all the like marketing funnels or all your email lists, your email campaign, just everything you need is right there. So that's why I did it. And they have great training for free. And I would say, just looking at Tessa's question, that could be a whole training right there, like how to get started in fundraising for nonprofits or something, and then creating a video series. I created my course. I recorded my videos on my laptop with Zoom, like not the greatest production of all time, but you could do it as fancy as you want, or as long as the information I think is super valuable. And it's, we can hear you well and see you. And then just the marketing part, I guess, is where you have to market it. Then it's another product. But if people are coming to you already and you can't take them, that could be a place for them to start. Or you can use it as a lead, like a lead magnet to bring in the bigger clients for yourself. So if you want to talk about that later or how I could help you with that,
definitely
or it's
something
been really
to do.
So
good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, that was my big question.
Awesome. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Oh, Tessa says, get a virtual assistant that knows how to do it for you. Yes. So Tessa's a virtual assistant and she's been helping me with a lot of the tech side on that. So, I'm like, okay, here's my video. You go put it in to the back end.
Okay.
And even, I know I think you have someone working on your website, but if you wanted to go that route, I would do the website right on there just because then it's all connected. So anyway.
Okay. This is helpful.
Yeah.
In case you can't see, I stopped because my wheels started turning. I'm supposed to be pulling content for my website. And I'm like, do you know how hard that is? Like, where do I find the time?
Tessa, well, you have good photos.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments for Jennifer or for me? Let's see who else is watching. It's a Facebook user says, I missed the first part of this. I'll have to watch it again to catch up. Okay, great. Yeah, it'll be on my platforms for people to watch again. So where can people find you if they want to do an event or ask you questions about an event?
Yeah. Email currently is Jennifer at events-by-jenniferevans.com. And we're in the process of switching over. My designer said my website was too long. So it's going to be jenniferevans.events.
Oh, cool.
That's it. I'm like, oh, that would have been easy to do the first time around. So
Yeah.
a few more small changes coming to shift to that, but a lot simpler. My name is long. So yeah, jenniferevans.events is the landing page currently for the website that will be there. And then, yeah, my email address again, jennifer@eventsbyjenniferevans.com.
Perfect. Thank you. And then
Yeah, thank you.
if anyone wants some help creating amazing images for their brand, we're at workstoryphotography.com, and I'd love to answer any questions you have about, if it's the right investment for you or the right time to do that. And I just love doing it. I love making people look amazing. That's my favorite thing. So, but thanks for having me on. And I'm just amazed by what you are doing and how you didn't give up, even though, I saw a lot of people in 2020 in events just be like, well, things are shut down, just going to go on unemployment, but, but you didn't do that. You saw the need and you made a change and filled it. And I think that's so admirable and exciting. So
Thank you. And right back at you. Thanks for educating us and helping us with some of the time we did have elevate our brands and do better work.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good. All right. Good to see you.
You too. I'm signing off now. Let's see.